Welcome to the driver's seat. Last year, Toyota gave us the CHR subcompact crossover. Earlier this year, we drove the Hyundai Kona. And now, not to be outdone, is the 2019 Nissan Kicks. Even though this vehicle existed in South America for about 2 years, it's just making its US debut, and it's sure to fit a nice niche just below the Rogue Sport. If it's horsepower you seek, look elsewhere. At 125 horsepower, the 1.6 liter is competent. Now, the good news is that the car only weighs a little over 2,600 pounds. So if you're just looking at horsepower as a metric, you're not going to be very impressed. But when you look at the power to weight ratio, you know what? This Nissan Kicks, it's not too bad. As you can see from a design standpoint, Nissan really went after millennials. You have a lot of these multicolor options, and they're really not that expensive. It's all about personalizing your vehicle, much in the way that Mini lets you personalize the Cooper. I like what they've done here. These roof rails, for example, they're standard on all the trim levels. You can see you get a variety of wheel options. I also like that this door doesn't have a funky handle like the CHR. It's more like a traditional door handle, and it also reduces the bad visibility that you get with a CHR. From a driving dynamics perspective, I would say the Kicks is on par with the competition, with the exception of the Kona. The Kona, to me, certainly stands above the rest of the competition, and that's primarily due to its traditional transmission. CHR and Kicks have a CVT, and although the CVTs are getting better and better, they're still not a traditional Steptronic or a DCT, which is optional in the higher end Konas. As far as visibility, this vehicle is much better than the CHR. The CHR, because of its design, has a very obstructed C-pillar. Even the materials inside the Kicks feel very premium. In that regard, I would put them and the Kona very similar. I like the contrast stitching. I like the flat bottom or D-shaped steering wheel that you get in the upper trim levels. A lot of segment best with front legroom, front headroom, fuel economy. You get a combined 36 highway, 31 city. And those are really good numbers for a small crossover, and it also has class-leading cargo. Apple CarPlay is a nice touch. You don't get that on the base model, which is the $18,000 one, but step up to any of the other trim levels, and really the price ranges from $20 to $22 for the upper trim levels, and I highly recommend getting the upper trim levels. For that little bit of extra money, it's certainly worth it. I would have to say that Nissan really did their homework with the packaging. Just like the CHR, the Kicks is not available in all-wheel drive. I don't think that's a major problem because the front-wheel drive is very good, has terrific traction control, but it is something that may deter some people in the north from picking up one of these vehicles. There's a very slick gauge interface on the upper trim levels. It lets you customize from the driving computer to some metrics, what station you're on, and there's even an LCD tachometer. So on the base model, you have 2 analog gauges and a multi-information display. On the upper trim levels, you actually get an LCD screen on the left side, and the speedometer is a traditional analog. It's a nice touch, something you don't expect in a $20,000, $21,000 vehicle. There's a very slick Bose system that lets you switch between driver and passenger setting, and what it does is it redirects the music to whichever you select. Again, a feature you don't find in many $20,000 vehicles. So a lot of great packaging. Nissan is counting on the fact that they put a lot of content, and I think it really shows. One area they may have overlooked is their warranty. While it's on par with Toyota, it's not on par with Kona or the Kia Soul, which is another vehicle that they are comparing themselves to. Another plus for the Kicks is the rear seat, which offers the stadium seating, which is the same thing you find in a lot of Nissan crossovers and SUVs. And that's a good place to be because people in the back don't want to feel like they're left out of the conversation. And with the stadium seating, you still get that kind of lifted feeling, and you can see what's happening ahead of you. Vehicle's relatively quiet. Yeah, pretty good handling. I would say that the CVT doesn't moan as badly as a CHR, but it's pretty close. It's still a CVT, and by nature, that's what they do. But it does have a nice high seating position for the driver, and as I said, the handling is acceptable. The suspension, again, I'm putting everything in perspective of what the car cost. $20,000, I'm not disappointed. If this was a $30,000 vehicle, I'd be disappointed. And that's how you should look at it is, when you walk into the dealership, test drive this car, think about the price point. Because your next option, if you want to step up maybe to a CRV, is you'd be buying probably a 2-year-old Honda CRV as compared to a brand new Nissan Kicks. So what's the bottom line on the Nissan Kicks? When it comes to pricing, I think they win that competition. All the vehicles in this segment are pretty good. They all have their strengths and their weaknesses. But I think from a price point, from a packaging, you look at the whole deal, I think the Nissan Kicks is certainly worthy of being near the top of the list. I'm Ron Doran. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on The Driver's Seat.